did. Yeah, this morning I sent her an email. Did you? Oh, that's like, yeah.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is your host, Troy Dunning. We are live and recording.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners Business Meeting, Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. Would you all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It's always nice to hear that, and especially with all of you in uniform today, thank you for everything you do for our communities. Mr. Ingalls, do we have certification for everything on today's agenda?
We do, Madam Chair. My office has reviewed all items on today's agenda, and they all meet legal approval.
Thank you, Mr. Ingalls. To my fellow commissioners, do you have any disclosures for any items on today's agenda?
I have none, Madam Chair. Thank you.
None today, ma'am.
And I have none either. Are there any citizens here today who would like to address the board on any topic that is not on the consent or the regular agenda? This is your opportunity to come visit with the commissioners. Seeing no one come forward, Troy, is there anyone online who would like to address the board?
I have no hands raised, Commissioner.
Thank you. And we'll do the same thing with any item on the consent agenda. Is there any citizens who would like to address any topic on the consent agenda? No one's coming forward. Troy, anyone online?
No hands raised.
Thank you. I will bring this back then to the board for the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, move to approve the consent agenda items A through AA.
Second?
I have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. Thank you. The next item today is regular agenda, item number A. This is the Emergency Rent Assistance Sub-Grant Agreement, Rand Clark for staff.
There we go. Oops. All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. Rand Clark, representing the Department of Community Development. I will take this off. The request before you today is the approval of the Emergency Rent Assistance, or the ERA, Sub-Grant Agreement in the amount of $9,283,333. On December 27th, 2020, Congress authorized the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2021. Through this act, the U.S. Department of the Treasury awarded $10,522,694 to Douglas County, which was received on January 21st, 2021. During a work session on February 2nd, 2021, you, the Board of County Commissioners, authorized staff to implement the ERA program in partnership with local nonprofit organizations to provide rent and utility assistance to Douglas County residents impacted by COVID. The Emergency Rent Assistance Program will provide rent and utility assistance for Douglas County renters impacted by COVID. The primary outcome of these funds is to eliminate arrearages and avoid an eviction crisis when the current moratorium expires. Douglas County's ERA program will begin and launch on March 1st, 2021. Residents will be able to apply for assistance through one of our partner organizations online at douglas.co.us/rent-assistance. The URL is on the screen for those of you who are with us today. The site will also contain material to support landlords, property managers, and utility providers who wish to connect their tenants and clients to this program. In order to qualify for assistance through the ERA program, applicants must meet a handful of criteria. First is they must be a renter. Unfortunately, this program does not provide assistance to homeowners. They must reside in Douglas County, and they must earn less than 80% of the area median income, which is right around $78,000 per year for a family of 4. They must have experienced an impact due to COVID, such as a loss of job, suffered financial hardship, experienced a loss of income, or incurred significant expense due to COVID. And lastly, applicants must not have received duplicate assistance for the same request through another assistance source. The Sub-Grantee agreement before you today establishes a partnership with 5 nonprofit organizations to administer the ERA program and provide assistance. They are Catholic Charities of Central Colorado, Church of the Rock, Douglas County Housing Partnership, Help and Hope Center, and Manna Resource Center. These sub-grantees have agreed to process applications for assistance, determine eligibility, gather the required documentation, and administer assistance payments on behalf of eligible households. Payments will be made directly to landlords, property managers, or utility providers. It is staff's recommendation that emergency rent assistance sub-grantee agreement in the amount of $9,283,333 be approved by the Board of County Commissioners as it complies with all federal, state, and county approval standards and policies. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Rand, for that excellent presentation. And a special note of gratitude to you and all of staff that has been working so hard to address the needs of those most impacted by COVID over this last year. We certainly have heard that as of the most recent points of information that Colorado is actually the worst in the entire continental United States when it comes to unemployment. So we know there are a lot of people at home unable to pay their rent. So this program is certainly significant for those individuals, and we're thankful for you putting this together.
Thank you very much. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all of my friends and colleagues, all of our partners, a number of staff members who have been behind this all the way and put in their hard work and their effort in all this. It's truly been a team effort, not just here at the county, but amongst our partners as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Rand, probably the new guy question here, but I mean, a lot of the work that was done on this kind of was done really right before I came on to the board. And then, of course, I feel like some of the work we've done is some of the earliest work that I've been able to do on the board. But just to clarify, so the renters and the landlords that would be the recipients of this money, they have not yet been identified.
They will be given the opportunity to apply if they fit the criteria and if they have the need. We have done some pre-work to reach out to a number of our large corporate landlord and property management companies to begin to gather information on those that are behind in their rent. And so we hope to hit the ground running with this next week on Monday and already have a good list of folks. We also are working with our partners at the state who have had a portal open for the last 3 months and have been taking applications, and we'll be working with them to transition those applicants who live in Douglas County down into our program so that we can serve them here locally. So yes, the work is being done ahead of time to make sure that this is up and running so it's available to all, but also that we have a sense of what the need is and how to get the help out as quickly as possible.
Okay, excellent. I was kind of worried that we were going to be thrown into a communication a task of let's make sure we let everybody know so they can apply in time. But good to hear that you guys are doing that pre-work and leaning forward on this. Madam Chair, that really identifies my biggest question.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. You know, I think Douglas County is successful in many ways, and the biggest way it's successful, that makes it successful, is partnerships. And Rand, you identified that Catholic Charities of Central Colorado, the Douglas County Housing Partnership, the Help and Hope Center, Manna Resource Center, and the Church of the Rock are the ones that you'll be working with to get this money out to the people in need. So once again, partnerships is what makes Douglas County so successful. So I have no other questions.
Thank you.
very much.
I'm going to open this up to citizen comment. Are there any citizens who would like to comment on this matter? Seeing no one come forward, Troy, is there anyone online?
I have no hands raised.
Thank you. I will bring this back to the board then for a motion.
Madam Chair, I have a motion to approve the emergency rent assistance sub-grantee agreement in the amount of $9,283,333.
This is good stuff. I'll go ahead and second.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. Thank you, Rand, for your work on this.
Thank you.
Next item on the regular agenda today is B, and I suspect that B and C will be heard together. These are for helicopter and aviation wildfire services. And is this Tim Johnson for staff? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Tim Johnson, Emergency Manager for Douglas County. Thanks, Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak to our annual request around aviation support for wildfire. The first item on the agenda is our contract with Transaero Aviation. We've had a relationship for a number of years now with Transaero, and they've been a great partner. And again, anticipating a significant wildfire season this year, this is our opportunity to have some resources in play, and specifically to have an exclusive use helicopter available to us during a couple of periods during this season. We've got identified two 45-day periods, and those typically align with what we consider to be the most difficult times during the year relative to wildfire. We know typically during June, as we approach the 4th of July, we're hot and dry, our fuels have dried out. That's an opportunity to make sure that we've got a resource available as it was last year, and it worked out really well for us. And then again, at the end of summer, when we get into the fall season and what's considered a second fire season beginning in September, we bring them back on, and we have that resource available again as we get into the dry, windy months of fall before the snow flies. So we've got our contract with Transaero, and we've got the money that's been set aside, $467,000 for that contract. And before I move on to the other contracts, I'd just like to answer any questions you might have relative to the contract with Transaero.
Thank you, Tim. Questions?
You know, I just have some comments, but I'll reserve those to the conclusion of your presentation, Tim. Thanks.
No questions. I read the contract through and they look pretty okay to me.
Thank you. Do I remember this, that it's $4,700 a day to keep the helicopter parked for us here?
That's correct.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Great. Item B is for the other contracts that we have. Now, over the years, we've had, again, several contracts that we have as call when needed. We don't put these folks necessarily on exclusive use. We have the ability to do that, but we don't typically do that. This is a contract, so we have an agreement in place. We have a relationship with these companies. So if we need additional resources, if the situation is bad enough and we need to bring in additional helicopters, if we need to bring in a single engine air tanker, that's the smaller tanker, or if we need to actually bring in a DC-10 tanker, we have a contract in place so we can give them a call, and if they're available, they'll come to Douglas County and help us out. So we've included all four of those other companies in that item B as well. And again, I can say that this year, relative to last, could be a difficult year. I don't want to get into a lot of specifics unless you have questions, but we're currently in pretty dry conditions, and we expect that to remain at least through spring. So we want to be ready to go as we are every year. Any questions, Commissioner?
Questions?
So actually, maybe I will ask a few questions, Madam Chair. Tim, first of all, thank you so much for this critical and important presentation for us today. If you're able to go into some detail with regard to what you're anticipating this year in 2021, I'm wondering if that might benefit the listening audience and the public to hear a little bit about that.
You bet. For yourselves and the listening audience, if you look at the drought monitor that's put out, we're currently in an exceptional drought situation. We have been for several months. And when you look at the long-term forecasts that have been put out over the next 3 to 4 months, That is expected to continue. So the dryness that we experienced all last year that led to probably the worst fire season we've had in Colorado, that continued on. The snowfall that we've had over the winter has helped, but it has certainly not mitigated the drought that we experienced through last year into the fall, and that is continuing. So we're anticipating that this year is going to be a difficult year. Now, the weather being the weather, it can change. We're anticipating at least through the month of May that the conditions will be difficult, will be dry. We need to have resources available. We have the ability to call resources to assist us. And then we'll evaluate as the months go by to see, do we need to modify any of these contracts? Do we need to bring folks on, maybe in addition to what we've got with TransAero? We're just not sure what's going to happen as we get beyond the month of May. We typically have a monsoon season that kicks off around the first part of July, goes for anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. If we get that, that will moderate our situation to the point where, it will help significantly. We pretty much didn't have a monsoon season last year, and that led to obviously some very big fires here in Colorado.
Well, that's incredibly helpful, Tim. And I know this last year has been somewhat marred with the crisis of the global pandemic and all the hard work that you've put into helping us and our partners manage that. I know from my perspective, in my 2 years in office, the first year was marred with the shooting at STEM, and certainly this pandemic of this last year. You've heard me say that my concern going into this third year is wildfire, and no doubt with those predictions, those grim predictions, being ready and proactive and prepared is certainly very significant for us. So an incredible level of gratitude to you and all of the fire professionals represented here today and outside of the hearing today that really are so committed to mitigating that fire damage. We know that with Chat Ridge 2 this last year, no property really was damaged, no loss of life, and it was almost within inches. And it was because of your proactive behavior and dedication to being hard, heavy, and fast, to borrow a quote from former Commissioner Roger Partridge, that you were able to do that. So thank you for that. Looking forward to doing more this year to serve in that regard.
Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. George?
Thank you, ma'am. No real questions. My review of the contracts look consistent with the contracts I've worked on in 20 years of business, so no questions. Madam Chair, after public comment, I would like to make a few comments, though.
Perfect. Let me just say that, Tim, you and Mike have done a great job, and we appreciate this. I think it really came home for us at the Chatfield fire last year. I believe that was like around June 30th.
June 29th.
June 29th, when the three commissioners went into the EOC over at the Justice Center, and we could see these huge screens and clearly see close up the helicopter and the planes that were dropping retardant and water. And that's when I really realized the importance of these contracts. It was backcountry right there in Highlands Ranch. And whoever thought that Highlands Ranch would be so close to a wildland fire? So I appreciate all of you here because we saw firsthand on those screens what was going on that day. So thank you. I'm going to open this up to public comment. Are there any members of the public here today who would like to talk about these two items? Seeing no one come forward, Troy, is there anyone online?
I have no hands raised, Commissioner.
Thank you. I will bring it back then to the board for comments, deliberation, and then a motion.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Well, first of all, Tim, it's great to see you not on like a Teams call and actually in person. For those of you who don't know, we've had some very probably sharp, pointy questions for Tim, specifically with the county's COVID response over the last few weeks. So it's good to see you in person.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you in person and not have pointy questions for you this time, pal. Listen, I see Chief Norris Kroom of Castle Rock in the back of the room, and he and I were neighbors back in the summer of 2005 when I don't think we had the 4th of July fireworks in the town of Castle Rock, Norris, until like August 1st, that first weekend, because it was such a heavy monsoon season. Mm-hmm. So those of us that have lived here for quite a while and remember those summers, I'm sure that's what we're hoping for. But I appreciate being very new to this board, but always, living under the concerns of wildfires. And sure, I've been in the town of Castle Rock, so it's not quite the same thing as some of our folks with you, fire chiefs, that represent some of the out areas, some of the unincorporated, some of the more rural areas of Douglas County. But it's still there. So I'm so happy, commissioners. Thank you for continuing this practice of year after year, as you said, Commissioner Thomas, planning for the worst, hoping for the best, but having that contingency plan for when we move forward. And I'm sure I'm not alone in thanking you guys for doing that for all of us here in Douglas County. And by the way, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this decision today, which I think these are excellent planning mechanisms. I heartily endorse both agenda item B and C when the motion is made.
Thank you. I'll just add, you talked a lot about the drought, Tim. And Saturday night, I went to church, went out to dinner, and came home, and there was probably 2 inches of snow on the ground already. And I thought, yes, we're finally going to get some snow. And I know Highlands Ranch got a lot of snow from what we've been getting lately. And so we're just all going to keep praying for that snow. As a Colorado native, I miss that snow. I actually like to shovel snow. So anyway, we'll just keep hoping for more snow. And thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And I'll take a motion.
And Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve a public contract for services with Trans-Aero Helicopter for call when needed exclusive use and purchase order for 2 45-day exclusive use periods for 2021 in the amount of $467,400.
That sounded like a lot of extra money for fire mitigation, which might not be a bad idea. I'll second that motion.
I have a first and a second. All in favor say yes.
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 Yes. And another motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve a public contract for services for 2021 Aviation Wildland Fire Support, in total the amount of $400,000.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. Thank you. So on D, which is the PILT money, let's have a little explanation about how we're going to do this. So we will hear the presentation. Are you doing this one, Tim?
Actually, I'm going to hand off to Mike.
Mike. Okay, Mike Alexander will do the presentation. The board will go through all the exercise of public comment, motion, and then the board will come down and pass out the checks. And you firemen, here's your directions. After you receive your check, you just move right over here and stand right next to the podium, next to our dais. Because then after all 5 of you get your checks, you're all going to get together for a picture. So don't go back to your chairs. Everybody got it? Okay, Wendy, I read the text. Okay, we'll go on to item number D. This is payment in lieu of taxes, the federal funding provided to fire protection districts. And we have Mike Alexander for staff.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's go ahead and sign you up for the fire crew. You're ready.
No, thank you.
Today I'll be presenting payment in lieu of taxes, federal funding provided to fire protection districts, assisting in coverage of the Pike National Forest lands in Douglas County in the amount of $100,000. Little background, beginning in 2002 and every year thereafter, Douglas County has provided supplemental funding for the 5 fire districts behind me that respond to incidents in the Pike National Forest area of Douglas County. The districts are Jackson 105 Fire District, Larkspur Fire, Mountain Communities Volunteer Fire, North Fork Fire, and West Douglas Fire. I would like to point out before we go too much further that all of these districts, fire districts, are largely, if not totally, supported by volunteer firefighter members, and they play a critical role in our partnership in wildfire suppression within the county and helping us achieve our goals of hard, heavy, fast, and keeping fires small and saving lives and property of our citizens and guests. For 2021, the county has approved $100,000 to be distributed among the 5 districts. The districts responded 157 times into the Pike National Forest in 2020. This year's distribution is based on a cost per call set at $636 per call. If it pleases the board, I'd like to invite them up one at a time to share their thanks and to discuss what they plan to do with the disbursements. First up, Jackson 105 Fire.
After
afternoon, Commissioners. Chief Jared Lamb with Jackson 105 Fire Protection District. Again, thank you all so much for funding these calls in the forest. We do appreciate it. I think as many of us know, with the pandemic going on, there's lots of people in the forest this year, getting out of their house. So we responded up there, I think 27 times. Had several fires up there, and with the use of the helicopter, we're able to get a quick knock on the fires. So again, thank you for approving the helicopter use as well. This year, we plan on purchasing a lot of PPE to include Wildland shirts, pants, fire shelters, which are a critical piece of our equipment, some small pumps, a 2,000-gallon pumpkin that helicopters can dip out of, and I'm trying to think what else. I think that's about it. So again, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief.
Yep. That way, right?
No, you can have a seat now.
Oh, okay.
Sit first.
So don't go
Then when you
back.
get your check, you have to
Okay,
stay up here. See?
Next up, Larkspur Fire.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Again, as every year, I just want to thank you for supporting the PILT program. Larkspur Fire Protection District doesn't really respond into the Pike National Forest as much as the other agencies here, but we do our share when we're called to help our mutual aid partners. And as far as the PILT money, we certainly appreciate it. Every little bit helps. All of the chiefs here today, it's always a struggle balancing the budget, and every little bit helps. The money that we're going to receive from the PILT this year, we're primarily going to buy PPE. We're going to buy helmet shrouds for Wildland helmets, and we need new trousers as well. We always have a lot of volunteers coming in and rotating out, and that PPE gets damaged, and it's time to get a lot of that replaced. And we're also going to be purchasing replacement batteries for our mobile radios. And again, thank you very much for supporting the PILT program.
Thank you, Chief Mills.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Stephen Brown. I'm the Fire Chief from Mountain Communities Volunteer Fire Department. We're located in the extreme southwest corner of Douglas County. Service 100 square miles, and then we have another 100 square miles of what they call no man's land. We're the closest fire department to that, to those areas. Most of them are in national forest. Last year, we responded to 36 calls in the national forest that Douglas County has. We also responded to other ones in Teller County. Of those 36 calls, 22 of them were fire-related calls or active fires. Other 14 were technical rescues. A lot of times we'll use Douglas County Search and Rescue to help us locate patients out in the woods. Our annual call volume is anywhere from 150 to 200 calls a year. Half of that's fires. So like the rest of the chiefs said, we try to get on the fires very fast. We patrol on red flag days. I think that's helped us tremendously. We get brush trucks out in the field on those days when we anticipate fire activity. We're going to use our money this year for, again, PPE, protective gear for our crews. We have 34 volunteers, and just to give you an idea, the average cost to equip somebody with wildfire gear is about $1,000. That's including a shelter that costs about $400. We're also going to use money for an extractor, which is a machine to clean our bunker gear. We do get a lot of structure fires that we do mutual aid with our other sister and brother departments, and that helps clean the gear effectively so we can use it again quickly. We're also going to buy hose lines and nozzles for our brush trucks. And we're also going to equip new hose line on our structure engine. The rest of the money we're going to put towards ATV rescue gear. Most of our backcountry rescues are ATV related. Getting to the patients again is the challenge. So that's where the rest of our money is going to go for gear there. And that's about it. We appreciate the PILT money very much.
Thank you, Chief Brown.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Chief Kurt Rogers with North Fork Fire Protection District, and we work that area along the South Platte, main stem of the South Platte River. So it was a crazy year with all the COVID stuff, obviously, this year, and we saw a pretty dramatic increase in recreational activity early on with that event, and that correlated to more calls for us into the National Forest. So in addition to that, just crazy fire season, and we really do appreciate what you guys do supporting your emergency management group here. It makes a huge difference to have those resources very early to keep fires small in the county. What we're doing with our money this year, we're going to replace a cardiac monitor. Cost, I don't know, $30,000. They're very expensive little machines, so we're working towards doing that this year. And then we'll also be working on trying to replace some handheld radios this year with the PELT money. And again, we really appreciate that you guys provide this opportunity for us to get this funding.
Thank you, Chief Rogers. I guess you're last, Terry. You're getting the most money.
Terry Thompson, Fire Chief, West Douglas, located in Sedalia. These guys have about said it all, but thank you very, very much. All the needed supplies for everyday operations within the Pike is needed here. My money has been put to a different purpose for the last 4 years. This will make the 5th. We're talking about drought. We always need water in a specific place, so I have got it okayed through you guys here 5 years ago, I guess, to be able to earmark this money for a water project. I want to put 120,000 gallons of water at Rampart and Highway 67. That will be a water source for all of us to use instead of having to come all the way to the flatlands to get water. And this check I received today, it looks like it's just going to put me at right about $106,000 I have collected, saved, and earmarked for our water project at Rampart and 67. So again, thank you very, very much. We all appreciate it, and thanks for what you do.
Thank you, Chief Thompson.
All right. Any questions?
Not yet.
Thank you, Commissioners. I think as you've heard very clearly, this is a very unique and special program, and the money going to these fire districts will directly save lives, save property, and keep fires small. Can I field any questions from you?
Questions for staff?
You know, no questions, but I just sit here in awe of all of our fire chiefs, you, Mike, and you, Tim. I want to continue to be one of your biggest fans. And, you know, I continue to think that those that don't remember their history are doomed to repeat it. And I know everyone here remembers well the 2002 Hayman fire and the potential damage that occurred in the Pike National Forest. And when we think about Douglas County being 48% open space and about 140,000 acres of Douglas County is Pike National Forest, so a little over a quarter of all of Douglas County is Pike. And so again, this partnership is so critically important to all of us, and I just really appreciate you and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Commissioner Layden.
I have no questions. After 6 years of tutelage with Norris Kroom and Art Morales before him, sounds like you guys have this money earmarked correctly. And the water project is very innovative. It was neat to hear about that. I'd like to hear more, given some time. And so, no, it sounds like you guys are doing the right analysis, taking care of your people, and taking care of the jobs that we're asking you to do.
Thank you. I would just like to say, Chief Thompson, I think 5 years ago I sat here and you told us about this water project you planned. And I thought, boy, there's a lot of vision there and a lot of patience. So thank you for what you're doing to get this done. I'm sure years from now people will thank you for your patience. So thank you to all of you. And thank you. I'll open this up for public comment. Anybody for public comment on this topic? Seeing no one come forward, how about anyone online, Troy?
I have no hands raised.
Thank you. I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment in lieu of taxes, federal funding provided to fire protection districts assisting in coverage of the Pike National Forest lands in Douglas County in the amount of $100,000.
Second?
First and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. So now what we're going to do is the three commissioners will put our masks on, we'll go down front. Commissioner Layden and Commissioner Teal will pass out the checks. After you get your check, just move over to the side, and then after everyone gets your checks, we'll all get together for a picture by staff. So thank you.
I can tell.
So the county manager's report was attached to the agenda. Are there any commissioner comments?
You know, Madam Chair, it's a really inspiring day to hear from our fire professionals, and I really want to thank our county manager, Doug DeBoard, and all of our county staff for the hard work in partnership with fire mitigation. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention all of the volunteers that are out there mitigating fires as well. We certainly appreciate them.
Thank you, Commissioner Layden.
Really no questions, no comments on the county manager's report. But yeah, it's neat to be able to do so much fire business today, fire protection business today, because I know in about 6 months, it might be the top thing on our minds.
Thank you. I'm just going to remind everybody that we still have the Board of Health positions are open for application until Thursday afternoon, February 25th. We received 7 more applications today, so there's lots of very qualified doctors and nurses and business people and a lot of other occupations represented and the people who want to serve on our Board of Health. So if you haven't gotten yours in, you have 2 more days until Thursday to do so. And with that, today's business meeting is adjourned.